a seat. Yeah, welcome everybody. Welcome in. How's everybody doing today? Woo! How's the food? So that is Giotto Eatery and Catering. Say hi to Ed and Karen back there. Hi guys. They make the food truck circuit. You can find them out and about everywhere. A lot of times up in Willard at mile 6. I catch them at 4x4. Down at Holdfast. You can find these guys around. The food's amazing. This is a small little piece of the menu today. It's a big menu, great desserts. So if you see them out and about, don't hesitate. It is delicious. So thank you guys for catering today. Welcome to our December Learning Over Lunch event. Can you believe we are at the end of the year? It's a little hard to believe. Look at, I got goosebumps. I'm really excited to have Caleb back with Beyond Healing. I've known him for a few years now. He is a great explainer of everything mental health. And this kind of piggybacks on our last 2 years in December where we've had some discussions. Last year we talked a lot about imposter syndrome, and we came away from that event last year thinking, with a lot of comments, a lot of feedback of, okay, but how do we bring this to the workforce? Like, how do we talk about this at work? How do we make this okay? How do we make it normal? So we challenged Caleb. We came up with a pretty catchy title here. We'll see. No, Copilot helped us a lot. Yeah, really like Copilot for that. Today's event is sponsored by one of our visionary sponsors. That is SRC, represented by Mr. Ryan Stack here today. Ryan, welcome. Thank you. Thank them for the lunch, the deliciousness we have here. Upcoming events. We kind of made it to the end of the year. Who's registered for the holiday party next week? Yeah. What's our number? Where are we at? We're up to like 180 something, which is ridiculous. That is going to be a huge event. We're pushing EIT in attendance for our Christmas party next week, casino themed. If you are not registered, yeah, you better talk to Emily because she kind of has a wait list going, don't you? She's gatekeeping it right now. So talk to Emily if you are not registered. That is a members only event. If you'd like to go and become a member, you want to pay for next year, we'll figure that out. I'll get you in. I'll smuggle you in. Save the dates for lunches will be on the calendar very soon. Typically, will fall on the first or second Thursday of every month. And then we have this little event in March, a little set of events in March where we build the tech conference out. We're going to have our fifth STC squared, our second tech week. The time now is to start. Hey, there I am. Nothing like hearing yourself. So STC Squared, we did launch exhibitor sponsor registration for members last week. If you want to get in early, secure the preferred spots and all that, now is the time. Hit me up, talk to Emily, info@sgftechcouncil.com, because Monday, I think, we are launching that thing to the world. We're like 15 days or so away from this conference. It's going to come up really quick. That is set for March 25th, and Tech Week will be that whole week again. So get involved. Get us a shout now. Thank you again to our year-long sponsors, Pitt Technology Group. I see Mr. Baker with his scrolling name tag. It doesn't even have your name on it. Yeah, it's okay. We know who you are. I was just saying, everybody in this room has known Randy Baker, and they all say we've known him for 20 years, and it's all true. So if you don't know Randy, it's probably on you at this point. C&H Reman, my employer, represented by me. Is there anyone else from my company here today? Hey, Jen. Yep, Jen's our intern with us. She'll be wrapping up her internship as she graduates here in a couple weeks and re-enters the full-time workforce as a cybersecurity IT person, so keep her in mind. She'll be looking shortly. C&H Reman, we have SRC with Ryan, Jack Henry, not represented today. They'll probably be catching us online today. O'Reilly, O'Reilly. Tavora, who is not here today, but we will see them next week. And ESCO Processing and Recycling, Wendy Bass is unable to make it today with a car issue. So Luke's here. Oh, Luke's here too. I didn't see Luke sneak in behind me. Welcome, Luke. So thank you to all of our year-long sponsors. If that's ever something that has crossed your mind, like, hey, how do we get on this? How do we get this recognition? Give me a shout. We can figure this out, especially if you already participate in EIT, if you already participate in the tech conference. we can definitely bridge that gap and get you as a year-long recognition. With that, I get to recognize this man, Mr. Caleb Boston, back for another year of dealing with us. Discomfort, yes. Please give him a warm welcome, Caleb.
Check. Does this, can you hear me? 1, 2, can you hear me? Cool. Thumbs up, thumbs down. It's a little quiet. I'll get it as close as I can. Cool. Oh. Check 1, 2. Oh, there it is. Little ring, maybe? Nope. Cool. Yeah, little ring. Cool. Check. Awesome. 1, 2, 3, 4. I'll just count for you guys. All lunch. Cool. All right. I am back, year 3. Some of you look familiar, and some of you do not. If you want to catch me afterwards, I'll hang out for a little bit. You can solicit free therapy advice or just say whatever you want. But I am a therapist in town. I'm actually a therapist, supervisor, and trainer. I'll talk a little bit more about Beyond Healing Center. We're just neighbors right down the street from here. But yeah, Dan asked me a couple years ago to come and talk. I feel like I was shocked the first time I came and talked to you all of just the amount of stress you all got put under when everything hit the fan with COVID. Like the whole world really just relied on you. And knowing that like weight and the stress there that was put on you guys as technicians in the field was really quite sobering, but also kind of like, okay, you guys need help with mental health. If you're dealing with that much stress on a continual basis, can we at Beyond Healing and then as therapists help you guys get the resources you need? So been here twice. This is my 3rd time. Apparently you guys like man buns and hand tattoos. Yeah, we do. So cool. This is all just basic stuff. My email's here. In case you want to get in contact with me later, we'll talk more about that. Again, come from Beyond Healing Center. This is a therapy center just down the street, specializing in all forms of therapy from like your simple, hey, I just had this bad thing happen and I need somebody to talk to, all the way to my life has felt really complex and I don't know who I am or where I'm going, and we can help you with that as well. A couple things we do specialize in is EMDR and trauma therapy. So if you've watched Secret Lives of Mormon Housewives, new season, they do EMDR. It's the person who wags their finger across and your eyes follow it. Looks a little kooky, but it has a lot of amazing qualities to help you go beyond your trauma. So we're a center that does that. We also have a couple podcasts that I'll talk about here in a second. A little game to play. There are a couple therapists among you. And whoever can come to me and tell me who they are, you'll get like a huge thumbs up. So think of all the stereotypes of a therapist and try to find them. Give me your best guess, and we can kind of laugh and have a good time. But there are a couple here. We would love to support you and talk. So I will stay after. They will also stay after. But I would also like to know where your therapist radar is at. Can you spot the therapist? Think sweater vests and a Freud mustache. All right. The last couple of years, where we've been was the first year I talked about, actually, I'm going to slow down. This is where we're going today. I'll talk about where we've been previously. So today we're going to talk about essentially the myth of your thinking brain. And really what I'm going to do is make it a little uncomfortable, and we're going to talk about our feelings. And we're going to talk about all the myths of your feelings and how important and critical it is to healthy organizations to create safe spaces to talk about how you feel. One thing that I'll probably reiterate over and over again is that I'm not going to ask you to change what direction you're going as an organization or as a worker in your workplace. I am going to encourage you to talk about how you feel so that where you go, you can go there with a little bit more ease and comfort. Rather than getting to your goal and crashing out and burning, I would love if we could create structures within organizations that say, hey, let's get to where we're going, but let's do it in a healthy way. And the key component of that is we have to include emotions. If you're a neuroscience nerd, buckle your seatbelts. That is like I love that world. We're going to talk about neuroscience, but I also have a slide that's going to give you a lot of research, even some that have come out this year in 2025 of like just really emphasizing the importance of emotional conversations in the workplace. So today we're going to talk about the myth of thinking, and then we're going to actually feel together. So if it helps, this may help mitigate some stress, we will be doing an in vivo exercise where you are going to be talking to the people around you about how you feel. So just prep yourself. That might also be a really good time to find out who the therapist is in the room, because they're probably smiling right now, and everybody else can kind of feel that. So, all right, 2 years ago, I talked to you about what Taylor Swift and zebras have in common, which is that they were right. We need to shake it off. Coming from the science, who was here 2 years ago, actually? Okay, a couple of you, cool. So I'm gonna give just a little overview of that talk then. So the science of stress in your body can essentially be summed up into you can only hold so much. So when you watch a zebra in the wild, for example, one of the things they'll do is they'll get spooked. You'll see them kind of whoop, or a deer in headlights. Whoop. What do they do when they feel safe again? Any hunters? They shake. Yeah, you'll see deer kind of shake their butt to shake off the stress. Part of healthy embodiment in the workplace is that we need spaces to shake off stress. Rather than going from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m., if you're lucky, without shaking off any stress, you're just walking around building more and more stress throughout the day. Can we create spaces where you can physically shake off your stress? Take a breath, settle down. So Taylor Swift was right, zebras have the answer. But one of the things that we also talked about the following year was that it's not enough just to shake off stress, because sometimes I can shake off all my stress, but then I'm still in this loop every day. And you guys, the people who were here last year, provided some really beautiful feedback of like, it's awesome to be able to shake off stress, but what about the environments where everyone is coming to me with a problem and I'm the one that's supposed to solve it? And how that environment of you being the problem solvers is really quite a highway to imposter syndrome. This feeling of being overwhelmed, of barely escaping by, barely getting your workflow done for the day, and the potential that can put on you to experience something like professional burnout and or even getting into clinical experiences of depression, anxiety. You can even have workplace PTSD, those sorts of things. So one of the things we're going to talk about today then is, as we look at shaking off stress, that's not enough, because we have to be able to shake off stress, but then have conversations with each other of how do we work more efficiently in the process. And one of the spicy thoughts I'm going to give you is that being emotional can be more efficient. Can be. I know that's going up against a lot of cultural stories of let's not get emotional, let's think about this. But I'm going to make a claim that based on modern neuroscience, if you are not talking about your emotions, you're wasting energy. So that's where we're headed. Sound good? How is everybody's body feeling? I'm talking about emotions, I'm talking about how you feel. Are we feeling okay? Cool, sweet. One final thing I want to say is, as we go throughout this talk, I want us to keep in mind what I'm not talking about is that you displace your emotional weight on others. I'm not talking about, hey, I'm stressed, so you take that job. Hey, I'm overwhelmed, so like get this out of my plate. What I am talking about is, can we disperse the emotional weight of your company? Can we, and can you and your leadership team create structures where we can share the weight of the stress rather than feel the need to like hold it and then shoot it off to somebody else? Okay, let's get emotional. And or let's talk about the myth of thinking. So this is, feel free to jump in, and for the live stream, I'll try my best to kind of summarize what you say. Forgive me if I don't quite get it right, but what have you been told about emotions? Particularly, I'm most interested as tech professionals. Emotions are illogical. Beautiful. What else?
Not my business, but you leave your emotions at the door, leave your
Yeah.
problems at the door.
Yeah, leave your problems, leave your emotions at the door. Yeah, tough.
You can control your emotions is something I've been told.
Yeah, so you can control. Can I ask a question?
Yeah.
The way you said that was like tentative. Like you can control your, is that something you're like, no, I believe that we can control? Or is that just something someone said of like, hey, you can control that, so?
I feel like sometimes emotions aren't something I can control,
Oh.
but that I can control like what then I do with that. Like I can control my actions, but
Love it.
I don't feel like I can control my feelings all the time.
Cool.
Okay.
Yeah, you're already like halfway through the presentation, so stay with me. Yeah. Yeah.
There's no time for emotion.
No time for it. Yeah. Leave it at the door, no time for it. Yeah.
I mean, I would even say sometimes it's never even brought up. Like, I've never even told about emotions and feelings. Like, that's just, don't talk about it kind of thing.
Yeah. A lack of something said about it. Yeah. Which doesn't make it very safe to talk about them then. It's the thing we've never talked about. Yeah. Anything else? Anything you'd add?
I hear a lot, so-and-so makes emotional decisions, or this, that, or that group is too emotional, or
Yeah.
this implication that emotions shouldn't be as part of your decision making.
Yeah. 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 So that example of like so-and-so is making an emotional decision, or they're just emotional. One of the reasons I want to talk about feeling and emotional conversations in the workplace is because in my mind, it is key to helping you as an organization and a group of people working together, keeps you from what I call the shame, blame, and never-ending revolving door game. So when we're stressed, our body eventually, if we have stress for long periods of time, is going to make an executive decision. I'm the problem, or you're the problem, right? So if I've been in stress for a long period of time and I haven't been able to get out of it, your story-making part of your brain is gonna say, we've gotta make sense of this somehow. And so very often, the two stories are gonna be, it's me, which is shame, or it's you, which is blame, which in a workplace is really detrimental, because you're either gonna have a lot of employees leaving, feeling the stress and blaming the organization, this is just like an unhealthy workspace, or you have employees who are burning out, collapsing under the weight of, I've just been in this stress for so long and I don't know what to do with it, it must be me, and there's the highway to imposter syndrome. Does that make sense? So I want to, before we get there, I want us to take the exit ramp of, rather than trying to control and hold your emotions, what if we express and connect? What if we allow your emotions to be held by more than just you, inviting those conversations so that we can go together to the next step rather than feel the pressure to perform as just a solid single individual. Cool. Any other statements about emotions? Yeah.
I don't know if this really fits in this part, but like I've heard it said a couple times where it's like, it's business, it's not personal. Like, take your emotions differently.
Yeah.
Personally, take it business.
Take it businessly. Yeah. Yeah. It's not personal, but yeah. Okay. Yeah. No offense, but yeah. Okay. We'll see how those land as we talk more and more. Okay. Welcome to Neuroscience 101. Your first lesson here. Take your hand, right, left, doesn't matter. I want you to hold it up. Take your thumb, put it into your palm. You have just now identified that you have a brainstem and an emotional center called the limbic system, which is your thumb. And then fold your fingers over. You have now just locked in your what's called thinking cap, the executive centers of your brain, where you think about information or you reflect. So your brain is organized into, very broadly, this is not true at the very detailed level, but just conceptually, your brain is organized into a hierarchical organization that is 3-tiered. So if a gorilla walked in the door right now, what would we do? We would all flip our lid. Our thinking cap would say, no way. We don't have time to think. There's a gorilla that just walked in. So all of that energy and information gets processed very quickly in the dense lower core of your brain. You don't have time to think, you just gotta act, just go. If someone walked in that we didn't quite know, but we had kind of like a, oh, who is that? That may not be as stressful of a situation. So we could maybe reflect, we could say, oh, there's somebody walking in, that's so-and-so, where do I know them? Our thinking cap can stay connected. But the flow of energy and information in our brain goes bottom up, gets processed, and then re-energized downward into your body. So there's a sort of looping of activation in your brain. This gets really interesting with all of the cultural narratives we just said, because if we're only trying to think about what we need to do, how do you think that's going to work? Given the architecture of your brain, where is energy going to get stuck? Your thinking cap. It's not going to shoot back down into the rest of your body and give you energy. So very succinctly then, you can start to think of energy, or emotion is energy in motion. Whoever came up with that word really nailed the creativity. It's just energy in motion. But emotion is meant to form or synchronize your behaviors to meet some needs. So when you think, what you actually do is you pause and what's called inhibit your energy. So for you to think about what's 6 times 7, you have to not act, right? You have to kind of sit there and go, I don't even know what that is. 42, thank you, yeah. So you have to sit and think, okay, that's 42. If I were to give you tasks like, hey, juggle 3 balls and run around the room, 7 times 6 would be a lot more difficult. Why? Because your brain is working more at that bottom level, trying to keep the balls up and walk at the same time, and your thinking cap is like, you know, I get a little bit of energy, but I'm not totally getting the full process. Is this starting to make sense? Cool. Any questions about your brain real fast? I'm giving you like the quickest neuroscience lesson possibly in the world. Cool. No questions? Awesome. So, actually, I'm going to go back. So what this means is that when we have all of these cultural stories of we need to think, not feel, what we're really doing is we're trying to be a human without the core components of ourselves. And this really starts to then turn into a motivation problem. So thoughts have never been motivating. Just like sit with that for a second. You have never been motivated by a thought. You have been motivated by the emotion that a thought brings up. So this idea of like, have you ever been caught in the loop of like, I know I should, but I never do it? Like, oh, I know I should do that thing. Like the other day I was like, what was the example? I like literally caught myself and I was like, oh, I know I should do that. And I was like, I've been saying I should do that for like 5 days. And it's really just like something simple and I could do it and it'd take like 30 seconds. But I was only processing that information with the top of my brain. I was caught in the loop of just thinking and not letting it actually get down into like the energy and motion, the emotional quality of, I would actually feel a lot more relieved if I just did that thing. So I was stuck in thinking. This then becomes really quite interesting when you try to lead an organization just with shoulds and have tos. When all you try to do is say, hey, what do we have to do this week? What do we have to get done today? You might get some things done, but you are losing energy because we're not tapping into the emotions. That feels spicy to me. How does that feel to you? It makes sense? Heck yeah. Any questions there?
It's easy to sit there and think, well, I would feel a lot more relieved than if I just did this. But that's still just thinking. How, I imagine you're going to go straight into this, but how do you actually tap into those emotions?
Yeah. Yeah, so the question is, how do we tap into the emotion? And we will get there. Yeah. Any other questions before I continue? Because really at the core of it, what I'm telling you is that you do not have thoughts without emotions. That's a fantasy of the brain, to think that I can think of something without involving my emotions. Okay. From that foundation, then we're going to start to rebuild and do exactly what you were asking of, like, okay, so then what do I do? How do I talk about my emotions? And what's like the process of getting into it? First, I'm going to talk about some pitfalls of talking about your emotions. So if you find yourself using phrases should, ought to, have to, sometimes a sneaky one is need to, that is a sign that we are too high in our brains. We're stuck in a loop of thinking, oh, I really should. Oh, I really ought to. Oh, I really have to. That is a moment to pause. Let's drop in and say, what's the emotion beneath that? I really have to, but I feel what? When I think about that task, I feel blank. Those simple statements, and I'll give you more examples, drop us out of that thinking loop and into a feeling loop so that we can actually put energy and motion to do the stuff we need to do. One thing I want to kind of be curious about is, and this will come up in a slide later, is like how often you are getting your job done because you're afraid of not or stressed about what would happen if you don't get it done. Like just kind of sit with your day-to-day kind of task load. How often are you doing that with a sense of like, oh no, I need to do this because if I don't, X, Y, Z. And if someone is vulnerable and brave enough to answer, I would love to kind of hear what your take is on that. How often is fear and stress your main motivator? Daily? Yeah. Yeah.
Or, yeah, I feel like it's always, I mean, until more recent years, it's basically the MO about it.
Yeah.
There's a deadline, there's something, there's some sort of anxious, like, valence emotion that is moving forward. I used to joke, like, when for the last minute, I'd never get anything done.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
pressure.
Yeah. Yeah. If it wasn't for the last minute, I wouldn't get anything done. Yeah. I think that's very common, even in my world, in the therapy world, the people who know this stuff. I still have a brain that is very susceptible to these loops. And I can find myself only doing things because I'm really at the core of it, I'm scared of what will happen if I don't. That, if you can remember last year, the core of imposter syndrome isn't that you don't know enough. It's that you don't feel safe to fail. That is what creates an environment of imposter syndrome. Because if I know I'm safe to fail, if I have an environment where if I fail, somebody comes alongside of me and says, hey, it's okay, let's learn from that, imposter syndrome isn't going to be there.
So, question on that one specifically. So it sounds like that's more external pressure on the person, right?
Yeah.
Say something that you can control because you're getting external pressure that you have to do that, so you're reacting to the
I think so. You may have to help me a little bit more. So you're saying I have emotion, can't control that, but I have stress about what's going to happen.
The pressure from somebody else.
Oh,
say,
yeah.
Or
Yeah.
connected, or peer that's now coming to me and say, hey, why didn't you get so-and-so done, or why didn't you do this, or whatever it might be, to where then the anxiety or the stress that I got preemptively before that is because of the reaction of the understanding of the knowing before when it's happening.
Yeah. So that example is a beautiful example of your brain having memory of this is maybe not the safest environment to not succeed. And so I'm going to feel anticipatory fear or anticipatory stress about the conversation that's coming, and I feel that. One thing that, I didn't have time to get into this, but there is a difference in your brain neurobiologically between prediction and preparation. And a lot of times people get in this loop of, I'm predicting what could happen, but I'm not letting my body actually prepare for it. So I get stuck in the stress of, oh, I know that tough conversation is going to happen. And often in therapy, I'm saying, can we actually sit with like, okay, let's just assume that tough conversation is going to happen. How does your body want to respond? Can we give you voice and choice in that moment, even though you know it's going to be a tough conversation? And that is even an example of how just naming the emotion gives us choice, rather than us going into the meeting clenched and like, oh no, I disappointed someone, or they're going to be upset with me. Does that make sense? Help? Cool. Okay. So keep an eye out. When we talk later, I'm going to have you kind of turn and have conversations with each other. Keep an eye out for the language of should. Funny cliche of counseling is don't should all over yourself. That's a recipe for a lot of stress. Okay, at the end of it, basically what we're saying is more suppression of your emotion leads to less motivation. So the more you don't feel, the more you try to not feel your emotions, the less motivation you will have across time. In order to stay motivated, we actually have to stay emotional. And this is coming from neuroscience and relational science. There's a couple of studies linked down below that are related to, and if you want those, I'll send those, related to emotional suppression in the workplace and how that relates to burnout and organizational dysfunction. Okay, we already talked about that. So what's the goal at the end of the day? The goal is I don't want you to replace your thinking brain with your feeling brain. I don't want us to now start to be super emotional and have no thoughts at all. That would be pendulum swinging way too far in the other direction. What we're looking for is that your thinking brain guides your emotions, it doesn't replace them. So part of this in the literature, in high leadership scenarios, if you've followed at all Brené Brown, she is a grounded theory researcher that looks at high executive leadership and is looking at what helps an organization be strong and cohesive versus disruptive and disorganized. And some of her work, as well as many others, essentially can be summed up in emotional conversations and in executive settings, create personal buy-in, foster spontaneity and creativity. You solve problems better if you slow down and integrate your emotions into it, which is very contrary to some of the narratives we heard at the start, that your emotions are just going to get in the way. Oh, your emotions are going to guide you very intuitively through the process if you'll let them. It creates what I call desire-based motivation. So you have stress-based motivation, which is more from your fear, your anger, your sadness. And then there's desire-based motivation, which is, what do I actually want? I know I have to do things, but what do I want in the process? Can I give myself a treat yourself day at the end of a hard week? Can we create a rhythm as a team that when we do something successfully, we take a moment to celebrate? Can we, in the process of a late night, all-nighter solving some tech problem, order pizza to just make it a little bit more tolerable? Those are the sorts of things that create desire-based motivation rather than just living in stress and, oh no, I have to. I had a client one time who is a construction worker, and we were talking of something very similar. And he said, oh, we have this in our workplace. Slow is smooth, and smooth is fast. So if we slow down to really talk about how we feel and how we're going to go through the process of doing whatever we need to do, if we slow down, we'll be smoother in the process. Smooth is faster at the end. Another way to say this, if you are in woodworking, is measure twice, cut once. Measure once, you lose a board because you'll miss the little micro moments where you measured wrong. Measure twice, cut once. That is what emotions will do. Basically, do you want to arrive at the finish line with your car on fire, or do you want to have a nice little pretty Instagram photo moment of, we did the hard thing and we're happy. We're at least connected. We don't hate each other. That is what emotions can do. So if you're like me and you love research, here are some research articles to give you, and some books to give you a pathway or a breadcrumb trail into why is emotion so critical to business health, and why is the emotional vulnerability of the individual parties within an organization, why does that create organizations that end up going on to do more? There's some really great research even this year, 2025, and then some great books. I would personally really recommend Leadership as Relationship. He talks about, I think it's 8 or 9 core consequences of emotionally vulnerable conversations in the workplace. So what does an emotional conversation give you as an organization? And it's a great, he's very easy to read. Okay, are you ready for the potentially uncomfortable part? This is where you feel, and you share that with the people you're sitting with. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna break into groups of 3 and 4. If you can, try to limit it to 3 or 4, just so everybody has enough time and space to actually share. What I'd like to do is I'll give you like 5 minutes, introduce yourself. I feel like most of you already know each other, but introduce yourself if you don't, and then kind of just like turn your eyes my direction, and I'll kind of get the cue of, okay, you all know each other, at least in who you are as a face, and then we'll talk about knowing each other with emotion. So feel free to turn, get to know everyone, and then I'll give you the next step. All right, if you can, wrap it up in like a minute. We're gonna keep going and we'll kind of go back and forth here. Two more minutes? Okay. Are you guys talking about how you feel about your jobs or just introducing? Oh, you went a little further? Okay. If you can, just keep it to who you are. Thank you for the cue. All right. We'll come back, turn your attention back to the front. Okay. So we're going to do kind of a pattern similar to that, where I'm going to give you some instructions, and then you're going to go into your groups and do a round with the instructions that I give you. But our goal for today is to talk about how you really feel about your job and be as honest as possible. If this was a real world scenario, that goal would likely be check that thing off of your to-do list, finish that project. We've got to create this system. So today is going to be a little bit meta because we're going to talk about how we feel about talking about how we feel. In the real life, it would be we're going to feel about and talk about how we feel of getting something done or a task on the to-do list as a team, okay? So what I'd like you to first do is take a second to just feel within yourself, how do you feel about your job? And if you need, there's a feelings wheel with some sensations on the outer ring that give you kind of a hint into some feelings in the inner ring. Sorry for the distance and the smallness of the text. Don't feel like you have to get caught up in the wheel if that's too distracting. Sometimes I like to say if you could speak it as a kid, good, bad, happy, sad, scared, excited. Okay. If it's helpful too, you can write it down, take a note of it. But how do you feel about your job? All right. Step 2 then is I want you to imagine literally turning to the people at your table, and how do you feel imagining speaking as honestly as possible about how you feel with your job? What feelings come up? What feelings start to emerge when you say, in 10 seconds, I'm going to turn and tell the people I'm around how I really feel about my job? This may be you're like, oh, that's easy. Like, I feel excited because I get to talk about it. Some of you may feel like, ooh, there's like a pit in my stomach, or what was that? Yeah, if you work with the person next to you, that may be something to talk about. We'll get to that step. Oh, all right. So we've got how we feel about our job. Now we've noticed how we feel about sharing how we feel about our job. Sound good? Okay. Next, we're going to, around the table, do not share how you feel about your job. Share how you feel about feeling about your job. In other words, step 2. So this could look something like, when I think about telling you how I feel blank. When I think about my job and then having to say that to you, the feelings I get are blank. So take some time. Each person will have an opportunity to share. I say keep it simple. If you feel the need to tell a story, go for it, but keep it as simple as you can to say, honestly, I just feel excited. Honestly, I feel relieved because I'm in a room full of people who probably understand. Honestly, I really don't want to say how I feel. That doesn't feel too good. So go ahead, take some time to share with each other, and notice what this is like to have this type of conversation. I'm really pushing you right into therapy. Guys are done. Just wrapped it up quick. Love it. If you can, aim to wrap it up in like a minute. All right, we'll come back to the room. So the next step, and this is why talking emotionally is so important, because when we can start to talk about our emotions and how we feel, we can start to see what are the needs that emerge in the process we're going on. So what do we have to change? What do we have to shift? How can we support one another so that the thing we are going to do, we do it, and by the end, we're not totally depleted. We're not totally burnt out, or we're not totally rattled with fear and stress that we just have to collapse. This is also why it's hard to think about emotions, is because it will start to illuminate needs, and it'll make you aware of your vulnerabilities. And so what I'd like for you to do now is start to collaborate with the people at your table to ask, what could we do to make sharing about how we feel simpler, more kind, more supportive? And this is where you can get really creative. Like you could say, actually, I don't want to say it. I just want to write it on a piece of paper and slide it into the table. Okay. Or you'd say, I'd love to say it, but I don't want anybody looking at me. Sick. You could also say, actually, could we just like laugh afterwards? Like when I say it, could we just laugh? And just take a second to like laugh at how I feel. That would make me feel better. So get creative with one another and start to collaborate how we can make this process a little less nerve-wracking or even more exciting if it is exciting to share how you feel. Sound good? Any questions? Cool. Get creative. Feel free. All right. If you're still going on what would be helpful, keep going. But if you're done, I want us to go one more round. I know this is very slow, very kind of tedious work here. But remember, slow is smooth, smooth is fast. So this next round, I want you to now take the support that you've asked for and share how you feel about your job. And if you work with the people you're sharing with, hopefully you found the support you need to feel safe to do so. But one thing I will offer to those listening is, one, provide the support or the solutions or whatever the person asked for, and then look for moments of connection. So our brains will operate more efficiently if we don't feel alone. This is that Ted Lasso quote of, there's one thing worse than being sad, it's being sad and being alone. That is neuroscientifically true. We work better as a species being together. So when people are sharing, if you have a moment of like, oh yeah, me too, share that. Connect. Be together. All right. Have at it. All right. If you're in the middle of if talking, kind of find a wrap-up point. We're going to come back to the front of the room. Okay. All right. So you completed the task. You did it. You talked about your feelings, hopefully. And if you didn't, I imagine you started to learn or found some like, oh, okay, that's tricky or that's difficult, and maybe I have more needs that arise. Essentially, what I want us to walk away with is that you now have a template for what does this look like in my day-to-day life. And you can repeat the steps of, let's just pause. What's the task that we're going for? What's the thing we're looking to do together? The second question then, or the second moment, is to pause and ask, how do I feel about that? And just like keep it simple. Do not have to overcomplicate it. Think like a child. I feel happy, I feel sad, I feel scared, I feel worried, I feel anxious, I feel overwhelmed. And that's the moment where we can start to then go into the next step of step 3, which is let's talk about that and identify support or solutions that we don't have in and of ourselves. So again, emotion is going to synchronize our behavior so that we can connect and go farther than we could as an individual. We work together, we work farther. So the final one then is we can do it. We can do whatever task we're doing, but we can do it in a way that feels good to us. Rather than feeling the pressure of conformity, we can feel like, oh, I've got some sense of voice and choice here. Some sense of I can feel as a person and do the task, but I'm doing it in a way that feels better to me than if I was just to stressfully go. One thing, if that question of like what support or what could others do to help you in the process of sharing how you feel, or when you think of the real world, like in the task you're going to complete, one thing I use with clients a lot is, do you need protection, connection, or empowerment? Do you need to not feel alone? Connection. I just need somebody to hear me out. I need protection, which is I need some support systems around me that say, hey, if things hit the fan or if we go sideways, I got you. You'll be protected with me. Or empowerment. Somebody that says, you got it. I believe in you. I'm with you. You got it. At the core of it, all we know of relational neuroscience says that we're really trying to meet those 3 needs: connection, protection, and empowerment. Another way you'll hear that said is agency, bonding, and certainty. Those are needs we have as humans. Okay. If that was difficult, or if you would like to know more, some recommendations I give to clients. One is an app called How We Feel. It's a delicious app. I can't recommend it enough. It has AI embedded within it, so it's got a lot of prompts to help you learn to recognize and identify how you feel, where you feel it in your body. All we know from kind of studies is that the more you learn to check in with yourself and check in how you feel, the better you'll get at it and the healthier you'll become. Because you'll integrate that emotion into your process and do differently in the day. Another app I love is Insight Timer. It's got guided meditations and processes that people have recorded and can guide you in meditations about how you feel. Journaling and free writing, something I love to recommend. Now with AI, we have all the opportunities to say, hey, based on this kind of theory of therapy, based on cognitive behavioral therapy, or act as my therapist, what writing prompts would you give? And allow it to give you prompts and then just free write. Just go with it. And finally, I as a therapist strongly recommend, but I am a little biased, go to therapy. Therapy is a place where you are safe to explore how you really feel, but not just how you really feel to go out into the world and be super vulnerable, but to have voice and choice in how you can feel more yourself every day. Rather than feel like life is happening to you, you can happen in life. If you are a leader in your network, Beyond Healing Center would love to partner with you to do some consulting and create some systems where we can actually bring mental health conversations every day to your environments. Something we're super passionate about, and therapy is only so accessible. And really, you guys are like the ground floor of creating healthy people. I see someone for 1 hour a week. You guys see each other for many hours, many weeks. So if we can bring therapy and therapeutic moments to the workplace, we'll be way better off. So if that's something that interests you, please come find me. I'd love to craft some stuff together. So, all right. We have some podcasts. Beyond Trauma is one for clients. Evidence-Based Therapist, if you're not annoyed by my voice already, that's a podcast that I'm on. And we also have a YouTube page. Yeah.
Caleb, thank you so very much.
Yeah.
This was wonderful. I think it's important, as many people work for organizations who have benefits, that you encourage your team members to look through their employee assistance program.
Yeah.
Because many of the things that you're offering would be covered under those services.
Love it.
So,
Yes. Take advantage of basically what you're paying for. Yeah. Yeah. Cool. If you're interested in therapy with myself or somebody else at Beyond Healing, we have a website. You can go and find the media and also connect with us and reach out for therapy. So, all right. Thank you. Yeah.
So, question on therapy in general, and maybe I could ask you about that, maybe some other people have some similar thoughts about therapy, question on this, which is, do you have clients that come to you that really don't know what they're looking to discover or understand, and like, you just come and say, I don't know, but let's just start a conversation, see
Oh, yeah.
goes.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think if you have any part of your life that feels like I want to be different here, come to therapy. And part of those first, I do a consultation session that's free with anybody who is coming to therapy with me. And that's what that session is like, you tell me what you're feeling and I can tell you what we can do. And we'll work together.
do you have a waiting list?
I do, but we have clinicians who are ready to go, and we've got some in the room, not to point them out. Yeah. So the three here, Mel, Angel, and Caroline, are clinicians at Beyond. I think you guys are taking clients currently. Yeah. So
The biggest challenges with people who need mental health is that they have to wait 8 months.
Yeah.
I remember making a call about a year ago.
Yeah.
Needing assistance, and they said, well, we don't have anybody.
Yeah.
And